Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at Pierre Tombale Couant, which I'm sure I butchered horribly the name. The Pierre Tombale Couant is a partisan, a unique partisan, and it seems to be specifically targeted at barbarians. And we're going to take a look at this item together, and we'll figure out what it's useful for. Now, obviously, if you were going to use this on a barbarian, you would probably be a polearm barbarian, which is a specific mastery under the mastery tree. If you go over and you take a look, you've got spear mastery, throwing mastery, polearm mastery, mace mastery, axe mastery, and sword mastery. So specifically, you would be building the polearm mastery skill. And this one in particular has +3 to barbarian skills on it, which would certainly make it very nice to increase not only your masteries, but all your other skills as well. Now, the damage on the non-ethereal version is 120 to 260, and the damage on the ethereal version is 175 to 378. With a dexterity requirement of 67, a strength requirement of 113, and a level requirement of 43, it tends to be a relatively easy item to wield. It does, however, have a relatively slow attack speed, as you can see with the polearm class slow attack speed. This is specifically because this particular weapon is just not very fast. We also have the negative requirements on the ethereal version to take into account. So when it is ethereal, it has 57 and 103, as opposed to 67 and 113. And this is because when items are ethereal, they do not have the same stat requirements. They just get a -10 to all the stat requirements. They will also lose their shadow. So when you are wielding a polearm and you take a look on the floor, you will see that there is a shadow on the floor, and when you put your ethereal item on, the shadow is gone. Not sure if any of you guys ever realized that. So right off the bat on this weapon, we have +3 to barbarian skills, which is definitely nice to have on any weapon. You know, if you have a weapon, a really nice weapon, having +2 skills on it certainly makes it better. We've got 30% faster hit recovery, which is always nice when you're dealing with a two-handed weapon, because two-handed weapons do not allow you to use a shield, and you're going to get hit a lot. We also have 220% enhanced damage, which does vary between 160% to 220%, which I feel like is a rather large number. We're looking at a 60% variance there between the top end and the bottom end of this weapon. We also have a flat adds 12 to 20 damage, and a lot of the times these damage effects are actually a lot more valuable than they seem. They usually add things like min and max, and so we'll be looking specifically at like a +min +max scenario, which is specifically enhancing the damage by quite a large number because it's a base number. Things like grief actually have a very similar effect. We also get +200 to attack rating here, which does vary between 100 to 200, so pretty large variance there. And don't think that that's not a lot, because when you're looking at something like polearm mastery, which increases your attack rating by 182%, or you're looking at a combat skill like bash, which increases your attack rating by 235%, and so forth and so on, these small bonuses of like 100 can actually stack up to really large numbers when you're actually using a skill. Like take, for instance, if I take off my skill and I put on the weapon, you'll see that I have 4,889. But when I put on a skill here, like for instance bash, I go to 8,884, and the attack rating really balloons out. So an extra 100 attack rating on this weapon can actually be very, very valuable. We also have a 6% mana steal, which is always nice to have on a weapon, just in general. Very nice for melee characters to be able to sustain whatever abilities they're using, whether it be whirlwind, whether it be concentrate, whether, you know, whatever specifically they're using. We also have 55% chance of deadly strike, which is a rather high, and actually does stack with the 30% critical strike on the skill. So we would be rolling a very nice percentage. Now, it doesn't stack like one on top of the other, so you don't get 55% plus 30. But what it does is it gives you the ability to roll them both. So if critical strike fails with its 30%, it will roll to 55%. And if 55% fails, then I guess you failed. But you have a double roll, essentially. You have 2 rolls to try and get that double damage. Once one succeeds, the other one doesn't roll, and you can't have both succeed at the same time. So it's just an extra way to get some more double damage, which is certainly nice. Now, when it comes to the Pierre Tombale Couant, it definitely seems like a rather solid level 43 polearm barbarian weapon. If I were going to level up a polearm barbarian, it would certainly seem like a nice choice. But, you know, it definitely is a very mid-tier choice. And you're probably not going to use this endgame or anywhere near endgame, especially in its current state. So if you were to take this to Hell difficulty, for instance, and fight some monsters in Hell difficulty, I feel like you would probably have some issues with certain monsters. As you can see, I'm not really doing a whole lot of damage. Even with the appropriate amount of attack rating, it's just not really a surprisingly high damage on the weapon. The slow attack speed also causes some issues there because it doesn't hit very often. You could use this on a mercenary if you happen to find the ethereal version. It would give him a decent amount of damage, but not the most amazing. And I feel like the lack of lifesteal would be a detriment. It's nice, though, for a mercenary because it does have faster hit recovery and it does have the deadly strike. So if you were to socket this with an Amrune, I could definitely see this keeping your mercenary alive for a little while. So now that we've looked at the item in its current form, let's look at the item in its upgraded form. So we're going to need 2 Lum Runes and 2 Pul Runes, and we're going to need 2 Perfect Emeralds. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to upgrade this weapon to its elite version, which is the Cryptic Axe. So let's start with the non-ethereal version, and we have 120 to 260 damage, 67 dexterity, 113 strength, and 43 level requirement, with a polearm class slow attack speed. And now it is 117 to 500 damage, with 103 strength requirement, or dexterity requirement, 165 strength requirement, and 66 level requirement. So it's definitely gone up quite a lot from that level 43 requirement, and the strength requirement has definitely gone up quite a bit. But the damage has gone up quite a bit as well, which is certainly nice. Let's take a look at the ethereal version, and let's see how that one fares. So 175 to 378, 57 dex, and a strength of 103. Same level requirement of 43. And now we are at 168 to 740, 93 dexterity, 155 strength, and level requirement of 66. So definitely a very nice high damage weapon. Let's see what kind of damage our mercenary gets with this. It says 696 to 2,433. And on our barbarian, it is 1,081 to 4,765 for the ethereal, 753 to 3,220 for the non-ethereal. Let's see how we fare with the new version, the Cryptic Axe version, when in this same battle. Oh, looks like things are dying. Definitely saw at least one monster die. Not exactly the most amazing. Let's give him the ethereal one, and let's let him play around with that. He was using no weapon before whatsoever. So, interesting. For a level 66 character, I suppose this could be somewhat decent with the +3 to skills, the faster hit recovery. If you were going to put this on a mercenary, like I said, you probably would want to give him some form of lifesteal, either socketing it with an Amrune or giving him a helmet of some type that has lifesteal on it. And, not bad. As far as finding this weapon goes, a lot of these Nightmare and normal difficulty uniques are going to drop just about everywhere. The TC class on this particular item is most likely very low. I'm pretty much only going to go over the how to find these items on the higher ones that have very specific areas that they need to be found in. Whereas this one will probably drop in just about everywhere in Nightmare difficulty, all the way up to Hell. It's probably not going to be a rare drop either. You'd probably see a couple of these on your way up the Hell journey. maybe even quite a few as you're leveling up in Nightmare. Now, Barbarian skills aside, would this weapon be useful on any other characters? I feel like the Deadly Strike makes it a optimal choice for a charge paladin, giving a paladin a huge bonus to his Deadly Strike early on. Of course, Deadly Strike is going to have a huge effect on a charge paladin's damage because it's going to double his damage. And the Mana Steel also, it would be welcome, as well as the attack rating. It has no increased attack speed on it, though, and it is a very slow weapon, which is probably going to be something that druids would avoid. The faster hit recovery definitely lends itself well to mercenaries, and overall, I think it's a decent weapon. If you found this particular weapon around level 43, which is when this weapon is used, it could very easily be thrown on a mercenary. It could very easily be thrown on a polearm barbarian or a charge paladin. You can also turn this into an iron golem with pretty good success. With the 55% deadly strike and the faster hit recovery, as well as the decent damage, I feel like it wouldn't do too bad as an iron golem. All in all, it's definitely an interesting weapon, and the fact that you can upgrade it into the Cryptic Axe is certainly very interesting. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.